the table. Nice into 15. Oh, and very late.
Noch 2 Minuten bis zum Start des Spurschlittens. 2 minutes to go for the pilot sled. 2-minute warning.
Yes, also. Welcome back to Innsbruck in Austria, where the track outside the village of Igls in the mountains above the legendary two-time Winter Olympic hosting venue. And on this track that was originally opened back in the mid-70s and has been modified over the last 12 months, we are ready for the second and deciding heat, race 2 of the IBSF Women's Monobob World Cup. Well, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us with a fantastically fraught battle going on at the top of the field. Lea Haslwanter, two-time Monobob world champion. She is currently lying in 3rd place. She's 13 hundredths off the lead, and she is 8 hundredths ahead of Lea Buchwitz. Lea Buchwitz of Germany, the 4-time race winner on this track. So Haslwanter, who won in Cortina last week. Silver medalist in Cortina last week and currently lying in the silver medal position is our world champion, USA's Kaysha Love. 4 years ago, she was a brakewoman, hoping to make the Olympic Games in Beijing. Now, she's looking like a medal candidate in Cortina. And so too, and that would be big for Australia, who took a skeleton medal in Beijing, their first ever winter sports sliding medal, is Brie Walker. The Australian leads after the first of our 2 heats here. She's the second most successful medal thief, or winner, let's say, on this track, with a pair of silver medals and a bronze in the last 3 races, in fact, in 3 of the last 4 races. But it is Lea Buchwitz who's had 4 golds. She's the only woman to have won a World Cup race on this track, in fact. But she lies not out of contention, but certainly at the moment out of the medals. But as we saw in the 2-man race earlier, as is the case always here in Innsbruck, the gaps between the sleds are absolutely tiny and in some cases non-existent. For instance, we had a dead heat for 20th, so 21 sleds now go into our second heat because the top 20 go through in reverse order. Lea Haslwanter and Cynthia Appiah are both 20th. So in the damp and the cool of the afternoon, now up to +2, ice hovering right around 0. It's going to be frosty as well because the refrigeration and the moist air frosten up the surface. And there is Kaysha Love. She'll be one of our last to go, second last out of the start shed. Lea Haslwanter, is she going to take a win here? Well, she was a double gold medalist in Cortina. And what about Melissa Lottholt? She had a really good first run. She lies in 5th place, and she's just 17 hundredths out of the medals. Melanie Hasler led the first heat in Cortina, finished 7th. She's 7th. Can she turn that around? Seems a little unlikely, but you never know. So Cynthia Appiah and Lea Haslwanter are the first off. 21 sleds in our top 20. Yingqing will be the third to go, ahead of Inola Blatty of Switzerland. And then we get down into even tighter little battles with 100th or 200s between our sleds. And the final few will be where we see the medals decided. But don't be surprised if there are a lot of changes along the way. Race 2 of the IBSF Women's Monobob World Cup in Innsbruck. 21 sleds go through into this second heat because we had a dead heat for 20th. Cynthia Appiah tied the time set by Lea Haslwanter of Austria, so Cyn goes first. 5:91 first start. 5:78. Wow, that's a monster improvement. Hello. 300s is seen as a big improvement by the athletes. 1300s. Who tied her shoelaces together in the first start? Big effort from Cynthia Appiah. Not happy with being only 20th place. Cyn finished in 13th last weekend. She's got good history here. She's been a bronze medalist on this track. Only 5 women in 4 World Cup starts before now have taken even 1 medal. Good looking run so far. Ice different every day this week, and that's not unusual on these ice tracks, but it's really changed a lot over the week here. Across the line, 56.19. Whoa! 6900s quicker. 7/10 of a second. That's like being 7/10 of a second quicker in the 100 meters. 56.19 would have left her 4th, not tied for 20th. Where was that in race 1? Cynthia Appiah, you dark horse. Right, somebody get her a jacket, because unless something radical has happened and everybody is 7/10 quicker, she's going to be in the leader's box a while. Exit of 9. Watch the runner tips. She's got a big steer going on there. Just releases as she comes off the curve onto the straight down to turn 10. But that was late. But 6900s quicker. Well, Cynthia Appiah goes to the leader's box. Gauntlet thrown down for Lea Haslwanter. The young Austrian, just 20 years old, former hammer thrower. It's only her 7th Monobob World Cup race. She made her debut here in Igls 2 seasons ago, the end of February 2023. 15th place on that day, and that remains her World Cup best result in mono. Gets in really nicely, 5:99. Well, there you go, 6:01 first heat, 5:99 second heat. That's more of an improvement. None of your 1300s quicker, thank you very much. But that's the sort of improvement we're used to saying, 100th, a couple of hundreds, unless there was a big mistake in the first heat. So she's behind Appiah. Don't forget they were tied to the 100th. And Cynthia was clean enough at the bottom. I do think Appiah is going to be in the leader's box a while. Decent speed. Actually quicker than Cynthia by 0.4 of a mile an hour. Now that doesn't sound much, car drivers. Oh, whammo, double hit on the wall. 56.69. Now, despite that double hit, that's a sensible improvement from an 88 to a 69. That's a second heat improvement. You know, a 10th. 2/10 is a big improvement between heats. She might have gone a little quicker if she hadn't walloped the wall quite so resolutely in 14. All right. Well, she's second at the moment. Does not mean she's going to finish 21st, because people will make mistakes. Little double tap. This is the bottom of the Labyrinth with the new wood and then the new elements of the track out of 13, going here into 14 and immediately into 15. Well, always a big smile on the face of Lea Haslwanter. Win, lose or draw, she is living her dream, isn't she? Next up, for China, Yingqing. Now, Ying had the very best ice, or let's say the first ice, which tends to be the best, in the first heat. First out the start shed. a bronze medalist in Sigulda in February 2023. Her best result here the same month was a 5th place finish in her first World Cup on this track. Finished 13th in Cortina, 14th in Cortina. 13th place in last year's race here. Just gets in so neatly. 5.90 first heat, 5.90 second heat. So she had a 500s advantage over Cynthia Appiah. That's gone because Cynthia started quicker. So even as she sits down, she's in the red. Without that speed at the start, she doesn't have the momentum in the sled in the early corners, and so the gap grows. Now, she has to outdrive Cynthia now to get back onto even terms. Out of the Kreisel, little low line maybe, but she handled it nicely on the exit. Out of 9, smooth down into 10. And none of the skidding really that we saw in Cortina in East Monobobs, because they're so well drilled on this track, most of the coaches, after 3-4 seasons of racing here. Across the line, 56.67. Again, a very notable and worthwhile improvement from an 83 to a 67. But Appiah was out of position and is repositioning herself quite quickly at the moment. So Yingqing in second and 700s ahead of Lea Haslwanter. She was 500s ahead of Lea in the first heat, added another 200s with this. And that's sort of where we should be at this, 6 to 20 plus region, where 2 or 300s are a position or 2 or sometimes 3. That was a good exit out of 9. Didn't steer, just allowed the sled to find its own way back down to corner 10. And that's key, is knowing where it's going to go and not just go, I better steer it now in case it doesn't go that way. You've got to feel where it's going. Next up, Inola Blatty for Switzerland. Made her debut in Cortina last week. And this young athlete is going to be one to watch in years to come. 27 Europe Cup champion last year. So 5.93 getaway, just a whisker slower than the 5.92 in the first heat. She was in town with her family and her brakewoman yesterday. Saw her mum here at the track a little earlier. Finished 18th in Cortina, her World Cup debut. What a place to make your debut, eh? First ever race in the brand new Olympic venue. Doesn't get much better, does it? 2300s back. So she was only 400s behind Appiah at the start. Oh, massive skid. And that's really gonna drag the speed out of the sled. Still shown as second. She'll be lucky to be third. At the line, unbelievably, hung on, 56.62. So Cynthia, all of those Canadian brakewomen down there, and nobody's given her a jacket. Girls, we may need to have a word. She's overshot her own brakewoman, Inola, and so having to push the sled on her own up the hill. Her brakewoman's having a sprint up after her. Hill sprints, everybody. Fun. Well, not a bad looking exit. Again, watch the runner tips. Allows it to come straight off, takes the tap. Unfortunate, it wasn't a square tap, it was front then back, and the back got kicked out. There we go, it happens. So Inola Blatty lies second after our first 4 of 21 sleds. And next up is Great Britain's Adele Nicoll. Now Adele, if you follow her on Instagram, told the story of how she basically destroyed her knee, near as. Spikes dug in when she was running and her body moved forward, and so her knee, how your knee bends, and so it's like a V shape with the knee out front. Well, hers was V the other way, so yeah, ow. So not with the start that we expect from Adele, but she did drive really nicely down the run. 6 dead in the first heat, 5.99 in the second. She cannot afford to re-injure herself. And look down when we see that view from above again. Lots of drivers with their knuckles right together, holding the D-rings together in the centre. Adele sort of has them knee width apart. It's just a style preference. It's how you start learning to drive. Often these things get inherited from your coaches, actually. If your coach drove like that, then that's how he'll set your sled up for you when you're learning. Nice line so far. Good upper labyrinth from Adele Nicoll. But without that speed at the start to Cynthia Appiah, and she was, what, 2100s back at the start. She should be 6300s behind Cyn at the bottom, but she's stopped the bleeding. Little rattle and a tap, still not as fast as the Canadian. But it should be close to second at the line, third place. 400s behind Inola Blatty, so she drops 2 spots. It was 300s quicker than her first heat, maybe not quite tidy enough to hang on to second. Ash Nelson helping with the sled. She was on the women's bob last week. I think it's going to be Kaillie Placide, who slides tomorrow in the women's race. Little late flop on the exit. Not too bad down through the labyrinth. And 9-10, nice transitions for Adele. Okay, don't need to run now. You won't be in the way. They're not getting any further up than you did. Might be a metre or two, but it's not a lot. So there's Kaia. I keep saying the wrong word. There we go. Okay, next up, Linda Weiszewski of Poland. So Linda finishing tied for 16th with Kristen Bujnowski of Canada in Cortina last week. Best result here is a 12th place finish, and that matches her best ever result in St. Moritz. 2 top 12 finishes. This is for hanging on to the 16th place, 588. Right, so her advantage over Cynthia Appiah was 0.2 of a second. Cynthia outstarted her by 0.1 of a second. So Linda's advantage was a 10th, but with Cynthia's extra acceleration, the Polish sled barely in front at all as she gets to the upper labyrinth. Out of 6 down into corner 7, the Kreisel carousel in English. 300s back. She's close. That's a nice 9 to 10 transition. That was really nicely done. Now then, the labyrinth will decide it. Only 500s back. Second best speed. Haslwanter was quickest here, not Appiah. Takes a little tap. Not sure she's going to get there. She doesn't, but 300s back. That was a really nice run. Really nice run. Linda Weiszewski, very close indeed to unseating Cynthia Appiah. Slips 1. And her brake woman as well, having to leg it up the track to help out. Again, look at the hands. Just watch as she pulls the right hand back, releases the steering with the left. That's to get a good steer in there. Love those overhead shots. You don't see it in women's bob. They sit much further forward, right up against the cowl. The actions are the same, but in monobob you can see it. Now for Germany, Kim Kalicki is next up. She is the 7th of our starters, with Cynthia Appiah currently leading. Kalicki struggling with pneumonia. So 21st best start. She was the slowest starter in the field at 6:03. No, she wasn't quite. Slowest start actually was Georgeta Popescu. But 6:03 start. 6:02. Even 100th here is extra effort that she can barely manage. Pneumonia, of course, an infection of the lungs. In fact, it's an infection of the lining of the bag that surrounds the lungs and keeps them from the rest of the body. But it's a crippling infection. And normally with pneumonia, you're on IV antibiotics in a hospital bed. Now, she clearly isn't, so hopefully she's recovering to a degree from it. But she has struggled pre-season. 1900s back. She's bringing it back. 1800s. She's going to run out of track here, though. And a fairly substantial hit on the exit of 13 and 14. 800s back. That was close. And this is just, why is she doing it? Grinding it out. You need the points. You've got to earn points to qualify for the games. And although she's the third German, or one of the three Germans, racing here in the World Cup, there are lots of them racing in Europe Cup, the next tier down. And although you only get half the points, if you're finishing twice as strongly and Kim's not doing anything, she's getting zeros. So all of those Europe Cup points could promote a Europa Cup athlete into the Olympic position. And Kalicki wants to be in the games and fit in the games. So now she's digging deep into the tank that already says empty on it. For China, Wei Mingming. So Wei in 14th place after the first heat. And her advantage over Cynthia Appiah, 2600ths. Over a quarter of a second in front. Now Wei, 10th fastest starter. She actually started quicker than Cynthia in the first heat with a 5.88 to the 5.91 of Appiah. But Cynthia started 5.78 in the first heat. So if she does a 5.88, 5.85, all right, she gets a little bit better than her first heat. But nevertheless, the gap is down from 2600ths to 1900ths. And down to 1400ths. Nice through the upper labyrinth. Good run down to the Kreisel. Was just a little bit of a wriggle from the tail of the sled. Down into 8. Not too much height in corner 9. Comes straight out. That's a good run down the centre into 10. And down into labyrinth. 11, 12, 13. Tap. 14. To the line. Avoid the walls. She does and takes the lead. 56.29. Well, not as quick as Cynthia Appiah. A 10th slower, but she had time in the bank. So Wei takes the lead with 13 to go. So Cynthia Appiah will finish no worse than 15th. Now that will be, by some margin, her worst result in Igls. Again, look at Wei, hands together, and that's a big steer there. The right hand pulling back, the left hand just allowing the steering mechanism to move away. But that was a big steer. Look at this, 9 to 10. Great lines. It was a really good drive. Yanis Minin's their coach. Max Robert with the instructions from the back. And Bruno Mijon with the sled at the front for Margot Boch. Again, she'll be looking forward to the Winter Games, but she'll be looking forward to the next Winter Games in the French Alps in 2030. La Plagne will be the sliding venue where she had her first ever runs, where she fell in love with this stuff. And Margot is a great, skilled driver. 5.95, finds a little bit more at the start as well. She had 200s over Wei, but Wei outstarted her by a 10th. So she's 800s in the red as she sits down. And that will grow because Wei's start was faster. And so you carry that inertia or that early momentum further down the run. And the more ice she covers, the more she should hopefully be able to recover that composure. Look at her lean against the cowl of the sled again. She's got all the tricks in the book. Fourth at the start, second at the start rather, down to fourth now, back up to second. Can she close on Wei Mingming? Can she try and earn herself a place in the top 10 on this starter's track of tracks? A tap in 13, through 14, no, hits the wall, 100th back. She was on target to take the lead and 100th back. All right, so she will be no worse than 14th. And there were lots of big smiles there, which always makes me check my little records. Previous best here, 9th place, so it's not a personal best for her. Was for her teammate this morning, Roman Heinrich. Top 6 finish in Innsbruck. Excellent stuff. She loads well, she drives well. And she's going to be a force in the two-man as well. So, next up for Canada is the Bujnowski. Sorry, Kristen. Kristen Bujnowski. Buj, 4th fastest at the start. But the former brakewoman recently, or more recently than the others, turn driver, does not quite have the mastery yet of the track. 2 podiums here in Europe Cup races in 2024. Those are her only appearances on this track. But when she gets to a track she knows well, and Lake Placid would be one of those, the World Championships in February of this year, she finished in 7th place against everybody in the business on their A game over 4 heats. So I think it's safe to say Buj can drive a sled. And this is a good looking run as well. 900s up at the start. Driving herself away from Mingming. 1700s up. Good height there. Uses it through the Labyrinth. Excellent stuff from Buj. 6th best speed. This is still looking good if she can avoid the walls. This is a clean run. 56.25. Excellent stuff from Kristen Bujnowski. Buj to everybody else. This should always be the Buj to me, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. 900s up at the start, drove herself into the lead by 700s. That's a really good second heat. So she starts well, and she learns fast, and she can drive. And again, for Canadian bobsledding, athletes like Buj, who come from the back handles, and Melissa Lottholz has done the same, and Cynthia Appiah has done the same. You get a fast, powerful athlete who loves the sport. Not all of them can drive. Not all of them will want to drive. Several brakemen I know, particularly in the men's field, who've tried it and gone, nah, that's not for me.
So much better run.
Yeah, so much better run. Excellent work. Buj, the leader's box, is behind the cameraman. So she goes in that direction. And next up for Switzerland, Debora Annen, another relatively new driver. Did not start her career as a brakewoman, though. 2 Europa Cup silvers on this track in Monobob. And 4th place finishes in Winterberg and in St. Moritz. 10th World Cup start for Debora. 5.91. Another tall athlete like Cynthia Appiah. And so she sits a long way back because her arms will reach the D-rings and her feet will reach the feet rests. And the further back in the sled you sit, the more weight you put on the rear axle and the less it tries to drive the sled. The more control, more stability you have. 1100s back at the start of 5.91. She was only 100th ahead of Buj from the first heat. And she's going to slip behind Mingming and potentially behind Margot Boch. And maybe behind Cynthia Appiah as well. And maybe even now behind Linda Weiszewski of Poland. It's going the wrong way for Debora Annen. It's not an ugly looking run. Okay, that wasn't the best, but 56.53. Neve Hockey in the leader's box with Kristen Bujnowski. Well, maybe a sequence of little extra drives, little errors. Watch the runner tips here out of 9. Not cutting too much ice. Maybe a little more than ideal. And then taps down again through the Labyrinth as you go up to the finish line. So Kristen Bujnowski, the leader from Mingming and Margot Boch. And we have 10 sleds to go. 11 down here in Innsbruck in Austria. So heading into our top 10, half a second covering the top 10, 1300s from first to third. So some nice tight gaps. And pink beanies, Laura Nolte's family. Buj in the leader's box. See the Canadians, they understand cold weather. They just get the cold weather gear straight there to the athlete. Having said that, of course, they didn't for Cynthia Appiah, so she spent a long time there. Maybe she just waved it away. Right, here in the Kreisel, chance to enjoy the racing at close quarters. And you can walk all the way down these tracks from the start to the finish. The Kreisel is right by the finish now. The finish has been changed. Used to be a distance away down the hill, but now they come right back up to just below the Kreisel. And watching the athletes at the start, particularly in the first heat, it's a really good place to watch. This is down at the new finish area. There's some grandstands standing there at the back, overlooking the finish. Big screen, so you can see all the action. Looking across the valleys there. What is a moist and misty day. Yesterday was clear as a bell across this part of the Austrian Tyrol. And if anybody had been here for skiing, there was a few skiers, a few boarders. There's the back of the Kreisel above the finish area. So that's the midpoint, well, not quite the midpoint of the Kreisel, actually. It's sort of the very beginning of the Kreisel. This one of our arch fans always brings a selection of messages. Lots of friends and family here as well.
You got this, Alana. You got this.
All right, so 10 sleds to go.
Get aggressive.
You can hear from the mics at the top. Let's get aggressive for Alana Meyers-Taylor. 11 down, 10 to go. Race 2 of the IBSF Monobob World Cup in Innsbruck in Austria. Alana Meyers-Taylor, the Olympic silver medalist in Monobob in 2022, in 10th position. Finished disappointed with 19th. Last time out in Cortina, just could not piece all the bits of the jigsaw puzzle together. Here, though, in familiar territory. She knows this track well. She's been a medal winner here before. 5:93 getaway. So she slipped 600s behind our current leader, Kristen Bujnowski. And Alana, and indeed teammate Kaillie Humphries and Kaysha Love, like the Canadians, all came from push athletes to become drivers. It's a great combination if it works. And for the, I guess, 20 push athletes you probably try out over a couple of years, if one of them can really drive up a storm, job done. And Alana is definitely one of those. Nice run, little tap from 9 to 10, and nudges her back, kind of where she wanted to be for turn 10. Through 11 and 12 and into 13. Here's the new part of the track, 14 uphill to the finish line, 400s in front. Whoa, it was close all the way. Alana bringing it back in the final Labyrinth. Building that speed, 7th best at the start and up to number 1 at the finish. I've got it. And again, look at that. There's the big steer. Now, when you have to do one of those in a hurry, the Brits call that Robin Hooding it off. So Robin Hood, one hand on the bow, the other hand on the bowstring, pulling back in a hurry. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's maximum steering. Now, that was not a Robin Hood. That was just, you need that steer. So Alana Meyers-Taylor leads, 9 to go. Hometown queen Katy Beierl was not happy with her first heat. I think she felt that could easily have been a top 6 run, and I can't say I disagree with her. Let's see what she's got. Wolfgang Stamm from the left of your shot at the back. Veteran driver turned coach and sled builder. He used to build his own sleds when he was competing as well. Now teams up with Hannes Wallner to build sleds, a fellow Austrian. 584, so she finds another few hundreds of motivation at the start. And Katy Beierl can definitely drive better than 9th place in Innsbruck. Let's see a nice smooth run, Katy. 1500s up on Alana. Another little tap, that's 2. Already before we get to the Kreisel. Needs a clean exit, must be clean from here on down. The gap's down to 100th of a second. She needs to be really at her very best. Little tap there. Not clean enough from 9 to 10. It's not going her way. It's not the run she wanted. Katy Beierl is going to be behind at the line and is going to drop 2. 5th position behind France's Margot Boch. So Alana in the leader's box, and Katy Beierl, a 56.48 run. She'll be disappointed with that. 1/100th only better than her first heat. And that's not where she needed to be, wanted to be, and knows she can be. You can hear over the replay the voice of Benny Meyer, the bobsleigh driver who's commentating here, former Austrian #1. And that's a tough run for Katy Beierl. 2 runs in a row where she should have been a lot quicker and just didn't find the pace she needed. Not much to say. It's done. Tomorrow is women's bobsleigh. Let's see if tomorrow morning treats her better than this afternoon. Next up from the USA, Kaillie Humphries. 16th at the start, 8th at the bottom. Tells you all you need to know about this woman's ability to drive a sled. Had a young son, Alden, just over a year ago. 5.93. Finds another 100th in the start. And again, there's that little view of the steer in turn 2. 180-degree Omega corner. Out of 4, into 5. Past the luge entrance from the junior start, down into corner 6. And then running into the Kreisel. Uphill to start with into the Kreisel. That helps you get that high line for the single pressure. And then you exit underneath where you come in. 1100s up. Leading Alana Myers-Taylor, her teammate. The Olympic Monobob champion. She will go to Cortina in February to try and defend that title. She'll need to be tidier than that, though. This is close at the line. 200s back. Too many taps. 56.39 run for Kaillie. 56.29 run for Alana. So Kaillie's first heat advantage of 800s evaporating there. Well, top half was good. Had to bring it a little harder off 9 than she would have liked. And as ever, driving in goggles. She's driven in her goggles her entire career. And that was instigated, I'm sure, by Pierre Luders. Pierre, probably the last male driver to use goggles. And Kaillie, I'm sure, will be the last female driver to use goggles. 7 to go. Melanie Hasler finished 7th last week in Cortina, having led the first heat. A disappointing second run, but a good first heat here, and a good second one will put that behind her. Last week was not the Olympics. Now, what Mel got at the start, 5.85 first heat, 7th fastest start, 5.80. That's a good, sizable improvement. Third best start, 2400s up on Alana Myers-Taylor. Now, Mel may be giving away a few years of experience to Alana, but she can sure drive a sled. This is a 25th Monobob World Cup. Kaillie Humphries has done 17, Alana has done 17 as well now. So more experience of this sled and on this track, Melanie Hasler. 2200s up, not the squarest of taps from 9 to 10. So that'll take another 500s out, maybe a little more. It's going to cost her more like a 10th by the bottom of the run. This is going to be very close indeed with Alana. Might be a couple of hundreds, it's 400s. So 56.36 run. Not as quick as Alana, but her first heat was faster, and both heats count. So Melanie Hasler, still mistakes to be tidied up. That could have been quicker. Again, watch the runners driving it off the corner. The steer should have been going into 9 from 8, so you don't have to drive it off. If you think I'm being overly critical, wait till you hear what the drivers say about their video. I think they beat themselves up a lot more. Now then, Maya Voigt. What a first run from this young lady. 9th in Cortina on her World Cup debut. That's pretty impressive anyway. She's done a couple of EC races here. This is our Youth Olympic champion in women's monobob from Pyeongchang 2024. So February this year, last year, she won the Youth Olympics. Made her World Cup debut in January in Winterberg. A former track and field athlete who started in skeleton and then converted. 5:77, third fastest start in the first heat was a 5:77. She's matched that in her second. This is a very strong athlete for the future. If she stays fit and healthy over the next 4 years, she's going to win a hatful of medals. She starts fast and she's a top 10 driver with minimal experience already. 1300s up on Melanie Hasler. Behind her, the gold and silver medalist from the last monobob competition in the Olympics. And she's still got the lead. It's a 1/10 of a second. If she's clean at the bottom, she's going to lead. Taps the wall, and she does lead, 56.28. 900 is better than the first heat. You see, sometimes even the athletes look at the timing going, was that in front or behind? I didn't quite look. It was in front. Now the Danes in skeleton and bobsleigh being held tight by the German team. Again, just avoids bringing it down too early. A little steer in the middle of the corner. There you go, just a tiniest little correction. Now we're seeing it here in slow motion, but that's just a flinch almost. It's so instinctive and reactive. You can't teach that. They either have that or they don't. You can refine it, but Maya Voigt leads with 5 to go. A lot of noise at the top for Melissa Hollingsworth. All right, and Mel is Melissa Lotholz. Where did Hollingsworth come from? Beg your pardon, Mel. 1700s out of the medals. If she has as big a run as Cynthia, then oh boy, 5:85 getaway. She started 5:87 in the first heat. Right, and that already leaves her in the red behind Maya Voigt. She was only 600s ahead of Maya, and she started 800s back. So again, Maya Voigt's fastest start will just keep her in front here, maybe down to the Kreisel. A good Kreisel should turn that around. That was a good Kreisel, good exit, but Voigt was quick as well. Nice 9 to 10. Bear is touched with the wall, very high in 10. Someone was in the first heat. Was it Melissa Lotholz as well? 200s back. If she doesn't hit on the wall, she could snatch this. She does. 56.33, just enough to hold in front and seal a top 5 finish. Best result here is a 16th place finish, and her World Cup best result in monobob was last week in Cortina, where she finished 6th. She will be no worse than 5th. Melissa Lotholz, not Hollingsworth, sorry Melissa. Melissa Lotholz, her best ever monobob World Cup result guaranteed. And that might not be the end of it. Nice work. So Lisa Buchwitz, 2100s off the lead in the first heat, has won all 4 monobob races in the World Cup on this track. In fact, her 4 wins here are half of her 8 monobob golds. Oh, just avoids the wall. 5.71. Ties the start record. Well, she had the start record overnight at 5.74. She lowered it to 5.73, and then it was beaten by Kaysha Love. Now she has a share of that medal, of that record rather, but 3,500s up on Melissa Lotholtz. Sweeps through the Kreisel, slides on the exit. That's going to take some of the speed away. It's not about Lotholtz, it's about trying to beat the remaining 3 sleds. Little late flop. This is not the winning Lisa Buchwitz of previous years. Takes a tap. Got to be clean to the line. Just avoids the wall for a 56.11. Well, that's 1100s better than her first heat. It would have left her in 3rd and only a 10th off the lead. Is it enough for a medal, though? Nella Scooten pushing the sled up. Melissa Lotholtz pushing it down. But again, she ran it long. It got out of the grooves. She did very well, or was very fortunate to avoid a tap on the wall there. All right, Buchwitz leads, 3 to go. Lauren Olter, our 2-time Monobob world champion. Last week's winner in the mono and in women's bobsleigh in Cortina. 3rd place after the first heat. 1,300s covering the top 3. 6th best starter, so she's giving away speed at the start to both of the remaining athletes and to Lisa Buchwitz. But Nolter drives a sled. All right, 5.82 first heat. 5.79, responding to the challenge superbly. Very nice start from Lauren Olter. Nice and quiet through 2 and 3. Through the upper labyrinth, no skids and taps. All right, Kreisel is where she has to build speed now. Nice exit, straight down into corner 8. Gaps back down under a 10th. Nice from 9 to 10, just floats down there into the labyrinth. She's taking the lead away from Lisa Buchwitz. She's putting herself in the medals, or is she? She was a bit late, out of 12. If she clean across the line, she leads 56.05, and that is as quick as the 2nd fastest run in the first heat. Well, a happy Lauren Olter. She leads, she's in the medals again. She drove it down, and you could see the ice coming off the runners. So she was fighting the sled there a little, and all of that just takes a bit of speed out. But in the medals, so Nolter, her previous best, 2 bronzes here. Ahead of her are Brie Walker and Kaysha Love. Both have had 2 medals on this track. In fact, Brie's had 2 silvers and a bronze, Kaysha Love 2 silvers, but neither of them have won. The only woman to have won here in a World Cup race, Lisa Buchwitz, is currently 2nd. So Kaysha Love, fastest starter, 5.71 in the first heat. Are we in the 60s? She needs to be fast, but she must get in clean. She does. Look how she loads. 5.70, brand new start record. And smooth through 1 and 2. She drives like somebody who's got a decade more experience, Kaysha Love. And she just pushes and loads phenomenally. It's a real masterclass in getting into a sled with speed. 2,800s up. and still holding that advantage, rocks and rolls out of the Kreisel. Little lost time in 9 and 10, but through the Labyrinth, still with 2/10. This is going to guarantee her at least a silver medal, and it's a new track record at 55.97. And that could have been quicker. It could have been quicker. 9 and 10 were very squirrely. She's got this great starting routine, but look at how she gets in a sled. Like, she's got all the time in the world, and it's no big deal. Steps in, holds the cowl, and yet she's just magnificent at the start. Start record, track record. Well, that's what you're going to need to win it, Brie Walker. So Brie Walker for Australia. Second, third and fourth in the World Cup races here. Pierre Luna's waiting impatiently for the clock to release his athlete. And Brie, this is where games are won and lost. Not on the ice, not in the sled, between the ears. How does she respond? The way she always does, by striving to be even better than she was the last time. In and down, another great load. What's the start? 5.87. So she's on the back foot. She only had 400s in hand over Kaysha Love. Kaysha found 500s at the start. And Brie, from a 5.78 to a 5.87, that was a very much slower start. 900 slower. Well, it's a good drive so far. Little bit of a skid. 9 to 10. Not too bad, but the medal is slipping away. The gold is going to drift away from her for the second race in a row. Our World Cup leader after the first heat, or our race leader after the first heat, is not going to win it. Fourth at the line. It's victory for the first time in Innsbruck for Kaysha Love. And Kaysha, silver in the last two Monobob World Cups here, takes her fourth Monobob World Cup win. And Brie Walker off the podium. Fourth place, same result as last year. Well, that promised so much. At the start, she was fourth fastest starter in the first heat, 11th fastest starter in the second heat, and too many other errors creeping in down here in the Labyrinth. That was a run that she would happily never see again. Well, she will come back in 2 weeks' time in Lillehammer and go again, as will they all. But for now, Kaysha Love is our second different race winner of the season. So the top two from last weekend swap places. Kaysha swaps silver for gold, and last week's winner, Lea Haslwanter, swaps gold for silver. In the bronze medal position, Lisa Buchwitz. She did not allow the medals to totally slip away. But Kaysha Love has win number 4 of her career and her first victory here in Innsbruck. So Kaysha Love, Lea Haslwanter and Lisa Buchwitz, the top 3. Ahead of Brie Walker, Melissa Lottholz and Maya Voigt. Voigt with a very comfortable PB, as did Melissa Lottholz. And Melanie Hasler, 7th, ahead of Alana, Kaillie and Bujnowski. Again, personal best for Kristen Bujnowski there in 10th place. Mingming, good run to 11th, ahead of Margot Boch. Katy Beierl will be disappointed with 13th. Cynthia Appiah from 21st, or equal 20th, up to 14th. That was a colossal second run, and what a second start for her. And then down at the tail of the field, Linda Weiszewski, Debora Annen, Kim Kalicki still struggling with fitness. Inola, Blatty, Adele Nicoll, ditto with fitness. Yingqing of China and Lea Haslwanter rounding out the second heat with 21st place. Which there is your podium. Kaysha Love in the centre, Lea Haslwanter on your left, and Lisa Buchwitz on your right. So Lisa ducks the English language interview for another race. I'm going to get ya. So it is Kaysha Love and Lea Haslwanter tied on points at the top of the pile. Brie Walker in third from Lisa Buchwitz, Melissa Lottholtz and Kaillie Humphries. And Maya Voigt, the rookie, after 2 races, comfortably in the top 10. Melanie Hasler 7th, where she finished in Cortina. Well, there you go. That's 2 races done of our quick-fire World Cup campaign this year, because we have to finish before the end of January to allow for Olympic selections. They have a weekend off, or at least a weekend not racing in the World Cup. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back in Lillehammer in Norway. But it's not done for Innsbruck, because tomorrow the women will be back in action in the morning at 9 o'clock, and at 1 p.m. local time, it'll be the 4-man. So 0800 0900 local, 0300 Eastern for the women's bobsleigh. We'll see you then.